Hola, everyone. It's Josh Vision, and I'm here to bring to you my Vikings Season 4B Episode 17 review. And the episode was entitled The Grey Army. So I'm going to start off with the Mediterranean storyline, then to Wessex, and then to the main event, Kattegat. So, pretty much with the Mediterranean, we have Rollo being returned back to, Francia. Um, I believe Bjorn says to Rollo that pretty much I'm gonna return. Well, Vic Cirque and I are gonna return back to a to Kaget to pretty much let our brothers know and the people know about Ragnar's death, and we're going to avenge him. And it kind of sucks that you can't go. Well, he doesn't really say kind of sucks, but he says you can't come with us, essentially because they view you as a traitor, and I can't look weak, so I'll be forced to kill you. And Rollo just sort of, agrees. He just sort of laughs, like, you know what, you're probably right. And, what can be done? Nothing can really be done. And as he said before, I believe in the 13th episode of season 4B, no, well, 13th episode overall for season 4, he did say when Bjorn and company came back to see him after all these years, in regards to a safe passage, he did said, what's the point of apologizing? I can't apologize for what's been done. So pretty much he had that sort of body language after getting told him that. So we see Rollo's Frankia men on boats coming towards the Vikings trying to retrieve Rollo. And Rollo pretty much says to the Vikings essentially that if any one of you want to have land, all this stuff, land, fame, all this shit, pretty much come over here, to Francia to live. And he especially gave the olive branch to both Bjorn and Visser. And Bjorn's silent. Floki says to Floki says to Rollo, listen, you're a traitorous bastard, Rollo. You're not one of us anymore. And Rollo says something really profound. Rollo's like, listen, Floki, everything is changing now. And you know this is the case too, but you're too stubborn to admit it. So what I took from that is the fact, let's be honest here, I think Rollo is just thinking in general, like, their culture, their people, they're traveling to further and further all across these different places, whatever. So obviously, due to that, there are going to be some changes because you're seeing different people, different religions, different customs, and all that stuff. And eventually, that's going to change our culture. If not, it already has. I believe the last thing Vixer said was, like we said before, Vixer's very quiet. Vixer, due to the fact he's very quiet, he has a mysteriousness to him. Like his father, one trait he got from Ragnar. He's quiet, so you don't know what he's thinking. And when he says things, they're very pivotal. They happen in certain moments, and they have certain weight. And he says to Rollo, always a traitor. Once a traitor, always a traitor. So, Rollo laughs at that, kind of smirks, and he goes off back to Francia with his son William. And as he's in it, while him, the bows, and the son are leaving off, whatever, Floki says to Bien that you should have killed Rollo when you had the chance, because now I have a feeling that he'll be he'll be more famous than even you and your brothers. And when you think about it, going through history, Rollo was famous for being the Duke of Normandy, but also, I believe his great grandson, or maybe his grandson, something along those lines, became known as William the Conqueror, and he conquered all of fucking England. 1066. That's just ingrained, in history. So, Floki actually was right, you know. But besides that, we had this interesting scene with Rollo coming back into the palace, I believe on the Normandy coast. And Princess Gisla has this whole little happy face, like, oh, my husband, my husband. Then she tells everyone to leave. And then Gisla goes to her trademark 0 to 100 real quick phase, and she starts slapping, slapping, kicking. At one point, she gave one hell of a jab to Rolo's nose that I thought if it was like that should have been broke. Then Rolo was just like, oh god, like you could tell he knew this was gonna happen. But yeah, that's pretty much all that deals with wrapping up the Mediterranean storyline and hints of Frankie. Wait. There's one more. It involves King Finehair and Halfton. So apparently they have a new recruit with them that's gonna help them take over Kattegat and help King Finehair finally reach his end goal, which is to become the king of all Norway. And I forgot the character's name. I think it's Adelbottom something. But he literally, I'm just gonna call him Two Face because one face is fine, whatever, it's all right. The other face looked like it was burned or some shit because it's all like, so it was weird and shit. But apparently I forgot, I'm gonna call him Two Face the Bastard because that's pretty much what I remembered about his name. He's the bastard. He's the bastard son of the Earl. So pretty much he wants help taking out his father, the Earl, and he's willing to help. Like I mentioned before, he's willing to help the Finehair brothers get King Finehair on the throne, be king of Norway. So yeah, that's done with the whole Frankie shit. So let's get to Wessex. So in Wessex, eh, Wessex, Northumbria. Look at Northumbria. I just remembered Judith was in this episode and how important she was in this episode. Judith, essentially, she goes to Northumbria and she meets with her father, mother, and her creepy ass sister. Creepy fucking sister. Creepy. But anyways, she goes to Northumbria and she lets it be known straight up. I love some of you. You know what I mean? And we know which one she's talking about. She's talking about her mom and her sister. She does not give two shits about her father. And I think it goes both ways. She says, I don't think you guys understand the retribution of the sons of Ragnar that they're going to lay upon you guys. So you guys got to build like better like defenses and shit surround the kingdom. And King Ayla is on his Kanye shit with his ego. He's like, listen, we are fully prepared. And then we have King Ayla and his wife, well, mainly his wife, saying, listen, we know all about your sinful relationship with your father-in-law. And we pray for you all the time because we don't want your soul to be damned and all that shit. And while this is all happening, you have creepy sister over here, like giggling, laughing, and just like acting all weird and shit. But, Judith really wasn't having it. She's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm having it, but really, I don't give a shit. It is what it is, pretty much. And I'm just happy the fact that this relationship, she didn't literally say this, but pretty much paraphrasing, that this whole sinful relationship that you say I'm having, which I am, it has helped me become more free. She's been able to learn how to read, whatever. She's been able to do things that most women at that time couldn't really do. And this is sort of amplified again when she is taken to Ragnar's, I guess you could say, snake pit tomb, burial site, whatever. So she's there, and the thing's cracked open, and she said this should be a sacred place, and that she was there to mourn. Because like we said before, she respects Ragnar a great deal. And let's be honest here. Ragnar was her husband, well, the love of her life, Athelstan's best friend. And, you could say the best friend of her current lover, Egbert, and all that shit. And obviously, Alfred has grown some type of attachment, had grown an attachment to Ragnar as well. So it makes sense why she would want to come there and not only see Ragnar's, probably skin bones at this point, but to say to make this a sacred place, whatever. But once again, she tells King Ayla, "Come on, father, you have to build some defenses." King Ayla's not buying it, whatever. He's like, "Fuck it," And he pretty much, in a way, is not really giving Ragnar that much respect. listen, this pagan died the way he should have died, whatever. So you know what I mean, so if this one fell, the other's gonna fall too, whatever. And once again, she implores her sister to learn how to read because reading opens up a new avenue for her. I mean, open up a bigger world, different possibilities. You know, that's the last thing she said to her sister, and that was about it with Judith and Umbria. So let's get to Wessex. We have this powerful scene in which Egbert is speaking with Alfred, tutoring him, and he says to Alfred, today we're going to be learning about books. Alfred is like, books? And Egbert's like, listen, books are just as important, if not more, than the sword and the plow, I believe. And he says that, and he brings up a book that was written by Gregory the First, I believe, and how it was one of many books that as a young man Egbert had read and translated from Latin. And pretty much Gregory the First questions about what kind of man he is and what kind of man he ought to be in order to rule. Yet at the same time, does the occupation of rule distract the mind? And that was a very important quote in this episode. And I think it connects a lot with Lagatha. As I said before, I'm going to talk about that pretty much near the home stretch, which we're very close to. So Egbert teaches Alfred a very good life lesson. He makes Alfred keep on drinking wine to the point that Alfred pukes. And then Egbert says right after this fact, you know what? You just listened to what I told you to do. You just kept on drinking. While you were drinking wine, I was drinking water. And he makes this point to Alfred, which I think is a very great life lesson for people in general, especially now. He says, don't let people influence you. Not even people like me. Have your own thoughts and act on them. And I think that was very important because that's the problem with people in general. You know, we're so, you know, that's the thing about being influenced so easily. When you're influenced so easily, you can be easily colored, you can be manipulated and all this stuff. And I think that's the thing I was trying to say to Alfred. You know what? Just stay true to yourself. Don't buy bullshit. Just because people tell you to do something. If you think, use your mind. Weigh it out on your own. Just don't let people tell you shit and you just go along with shit. That's stupid. And I think that's probably the main reason. All right, not the main reason. I would do a video on why Egbert hates Aethelwulf, but that's probably one of the reasons why Egbert doesn't really consider Aethelwulf a successor, and why he literally says to Alfred, "I hope you become king, but you must learn this particular lesson beforehand." You know what I mean? So, yeah. So now we're gonna get to the main event, and we're getting to Caget. So we have this scene. We open up with Lagatha, pretty much at Lagatha, Torvi, Astrid, and practically the entire village of Kattegat, along with Margaret, I believe, or Margaret, working on the defenses, like the forts and all that shit when it comes to Kattegat. So, yeah, they're working, and we have the next scene, is Ivar, Sigurd, and Ube discussing how they're going to go about things in regards to England. But first, we have little brothers fighting, the littlest of the bunch, Ivar and Sigurd, fighting over a fucking knife. Ivar's like, listen, that's my knife. And Sigurd's like, no, it's not your knife. I mean, yeah, it's not your knife. And I was like, yes, it is. Sigurd's like, listen, you're fucking crazy. This is a knife that father gave me back when I was young. Then I was like, give me the fucking knife. So you have these two literally fight on the floor and shit. It got to the point Ivar fucking headbutt Sigurd, and Sigurd ate it like it was nothing. I'm like, oh, damn. And that seemed like a vicious headshot, you know, just hearing the impact. And then Ube's like, oh, fuck. You can tell Ube's been used to doing this shit for years. So Ube literally throws Ivar and he picks up Sigurd with the slightest of ease. And Sigurd's like, listen, you gotta tell him to calm down. And Ube's like, tell him to calm down. He's the one we need to get this shit done. So then they start talking about what's the best thing, like I said before, with England. So Ivar is like, listen, we have to take vengeance not just on King Ayla, but also King Egbert. That's what Father wanted me to tell you guys. And then Ube is like, listen, King Ayla's kingdom is small, so that's just manageable. Okay, I feel you on that. But Egbert has a large kingdom, not just Wessex, but Mercia. And we don't have the manpower to try to take on both. And then Ivar at this point is really frustrated. And then Sigurd brings up a brilliant idea. Why not create a great army? You know, and then Ube's kind of like caught off guard. He's like saying, interesting. And Ivar continues by saying, yeah, Sigurd's right. We're going to create an army twice the army the size that our father had against France. And I was like, word? Twice the size? Because let's remember, people, back in season 3, that army was fucking huge. That was a huge ass army. But to say twice the size, damn. And Ivar continues on by saying that we're going to make deals and bribes with all the kings and earls of the country, the ones we hate and whatnot. And then Sigurd says, so we're just going to try to take over England. And I was like, no, we're not going to just take over England. We're going to take over the entire world. And I was like, mind blown. Fuck. Badass. That line right there. And then that confident, evil smile he did after he turned his back to his brothers once he said that. I'm saying, you know what? Just in this scene, all these Sigurd and Ube and Ivar showed off the characters of Ragnar. But Ivar with that scene, I was like, yeah, this is like evil Ragnar 2.0 when I seen that smile. You know. After that, we have Ube speak with Lagertha. And he pretty much tells Lagertha that, you know what, we're going to raise a great army, and we want to know if you want to join. And Lagertha's like, you know what? It's kind of interesting, Ube. I know you guys are raising a great army, but there's going to be lots of kings and earls here that's going to want to be envious of what we have here, and we want to take my throne. And Ube's like, well, what's more important to you, your throne or vengeance for Ragnar? And then at that point, that's when Lagertha kind of took it a little personal. She didn't like get all shouty, but she was like, listen, you are not worthy of saying something like that, Ube. You know what I mean? Like, I knew your father, you know what I mean, pretty much from the beginning. You know? And pretty much Ube is like, you know what? I understand. I guess we know where your loyalties lie now. And after that, Torvi and Nasser were pretty much at this point saying, listen, don't listen what Ube had to say. Like, this is more important at this point in time. And I'm saying to myself, like, this is more important. I thought this was just kind of ridiculous. Because here's the thing I'm looking at. Astrid, I can understand, because Astrid wasn't there during, you know, those times. Torvi, if I remember correctly, I still think she still holds a grudge against Ragnar to begin with, because Ragnar killed Jarl Borg, even though Jarl Borg had it fucking coming when he fucking like went after Ragnar's village while Ragnar was gone, instead of doing it when Ragnar was there or whatever. So Jarl Borg deserved that blood eagle. You don't fuck with family, and you don't fuck with Ragnar's village, whatever. But after that, the very next scene, we see Ivar speaking with Sigurd. Ivar said to Sigurd, listen, I have a bone to pick with you, bro. Why were you silent when I declared to everyone that I was going to kill Lagertha? Sigurd said, I don't have a problem with Lagertha. You know why? Because she hasn't done anything to me, and I never had a close relationship with our mother Aslog like you did. Mama's boy. Did you miss did you miss sucking on her nipples? And then when I said that, I'm like, wow, I had a flashback to I think earlier season 4B in which Sig was really getting at Ivar about him being a cripple, not being able to do anything essentially without like he could when he walked out the fucking the Great Hall and Ivar was screaming, you know, in aggravation and fury. And I was like, damn, Sigurd, really, man, you really gotta go there. Like I know Ivar could be a little bit of a dick, but come on, yo. And then Ivar was having it this time. Ivar got that axe. He's about to literally chop Sigurd's head off. And the blacksmith, the guy that who I believe gave Ivar the crutches and seemed to be Ivar's friend, stopped Ivar just in time. And he was like, it's kind of hard to believe you guys are actually brothers. And Sigurd had that look of, wow, this dude is really going to kill me. So I thought this scene was good because it finally, in my opinion, finally let Sigurd know why Ube and Viktor are afraid of Ivar. Ivar can talk as much as he wants, but Ivar can talk shit, but he really can't take it if it's thrown back at him depending on the situation, especially when it comes to his beloved mother and obviously Ragnar. And he was like, listen, bro, I don't give a fuck, we're brothers. I don't like you. I don't like you. I can deal with Ube and Viktor, but you, I have no problem cutting your head off. And that realization, I think, really made Sigurd be like, okay, I gotta watch my words with Ivar. Now, I understand why Margaret thinks he's a fucking psycho and crazy. And speaking of Margaret, Ube pretty much frees Margaret from being Lagerth's slave. And he says that the reason why he did is because you have to marry one of us, referring to him and his brothers, so you had to be a free woman. And Lagerth's watching this, and Lagerth's like, what the fuck? Like shaking her head like, damn, this kid's pushing his luck. So we get to the ships. We see pretty much Ivar and Ube the next scene looking on as the earls and shit, all the many earls and kings from other lands are showing up to Kattegat. And Ivar is happy because he's like, this is the beginning of our great army, our wrath of vengeance against Ayla and Egbert. And Ube is also excited. And then Ivar mentions, how long do we have to wait? Are we even going to do this to get vengeance against Lagertha? And Ube is like, oh, don't worry. We are going to get her, but it's in a subtle tone, in a subtle way. So the next scene, we see Ube and Ivar. There's this big party that's happening in the Great Hall. We see, it looks like Sigurd's playing the harp, and we see, I believe, Ube talking to some of the earls, like 2 earls, I believe, or 1 earl and his brother at the Great Hall, and they ask him who he is, and Ube's like, I'm Ube. And the guy's like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I asked you that in that disrespectful tone. Your father was a hero to all of us, damn near. He's pretty much most likely the most great, famous hero out of everyone here. I mean, out of everyone in our land. And Ube's like, yeah, And then they see Ivar, and they start talking shit about Ivar. Like, oh, look, there's a cripple. And Ube was like, had to let them know, hey, he's my brother. He's also the son of Ragnar. So respect him, or you might end up dead. Capiche? And then they were like, oh shit, okay, so this dude's not only the son of Ragnar, this dude can actually fight, and he's a killer. We better shut up. And then I believe Ube gives Ivar his drink as well. So a little bit after this, we have Ube speaking with Margaret, and Lagertha is not that far away, and she's on the throne, and she's kind of flirting with this Swedish king, I believe. And Astrid ain't having it. Astrid's kind of pissed. You can tell she's pissed. Because, like I said before in my other reviews, Lagertha has always been talking about Ragnar this and Ragnar that. And you can't be saying shit like that when you're in a current relationship with someone. And now Lagertha is flirting with this dude point blank right in front of Astrid's face. And she refers to Astrid not as her girlfriend or whatever, but as her shield maiden. It's like, what the fuck, Lagertha? And one side of me is like, Lagertha at this point has to be like 50-something years old. Like, shouldn't she have, like, gained, like, learned some of this shit? I wouldn't expect any of this like naivety when it comes to certain things. You know what I mean? It's not just this. You know, even back in season 3, when Calf usurped her, she was saying that Calf's not ambitious. He would never hurt her. Yet she felt for that shit. You know what I mean? Lacta's not stupid, but it's like some things she's so naive to that you wouldn't think she would be at this age. Because she's definitely in her 50s at this point. Because Bjorn is in his mid-30s or early 30s at best. You know what I mean? So, anyway, the Swedish king starts speaking with Torvi. And then Lacta mentions the fact that Torvi is a wife of her son Bjorn. And then he leaves the Swedish king to the services of Astra. So that's when she starts speaking with Ube. She says to Ube, listen, you can't be freeing my sleeves, bro. My slaves, bro, without my permission, whatever. And Ube's like, oh, you mean just like when you killed my mother without permission? And then like the hell of a smirk right there. And she mentions to Ube pretty much the fact that I'm queen now. So you have to I have more swing. And Ube is like, we don't know how long that reign's going to be. And then Lacta pulls Ube aside, is like, you look like your father when he was young. Way, way back in the day, whatever. So that was interesting because Margaret started to look once she said that. So I'm starting to wonder, what will this lead to in the future? But anywho, at this point, as I believe the doors are locked, Torvi Torvi, Astrid, and even fucking Sigurd, they got knives to their throat, and it seemed like Ube and Ivar are getting ready to kill Lagertha. And Lagertha gets off her throne. She's like, all right, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die in a blaze of glory. And she even takes out the sword that the Swedish king gave to her. But before the fight can get it on and popping, Bjorn comes back. And Bjorn mentions the fact to Ivar and Ube that if you want to kill Lagertha, you're gonna have to kill me. And Ivar says, I was like, well, let's go. Pretty much, he had at that point he was like, you know what? I have no problem killing you, Bjorn. But Bjorn was like, listen, but that's not what our father would want. Our father wants us to avenge his death against Ayla. That's what he wants. And that's the best course of action. And then when you see Bjorn put the axe towards Ivar, I mean, I think it wasn't meant to threaten Ivar. It was kind of a way of saying, this is your favorite weapon because I know you for so long. Use this weapon towards the Saxons, not my mother. And then you see Ivar, and one of the rare moments in which Ivar is very childish. Ivar, the little timber chamber, he's like, just hits the ground, and him and Ube, I just found it funny how Ube just like, all right. He just nonchalantly just walked past Lagertha, like, oh, I wasn't about to kill you. They just, and then just went past Bjorn. Him and Ivar just leave the Great Hall. And Bjorn's pretty much congratulates his mom when he whispered into her ear about her becoming queen, and she's smiling. And then the next scene, we see Vixer returning back, seeing his brothers, Ube, Sigurd, and Margaret. And he says to Ube, oh, so you're about to marry Margaret? Don't have her all to yourself, bro. And an interesting thing happened in the scene. So pretty much they let Vixer know that Ivar wants to kill Lagertha. And Vixer's like, don't listen to Ivar. Ivar's crazy, And pretty much Ube is like, but we have to do this. He said, you're right. Well, he didn't say you're right about Ivar being crazy, but he's kind of saying, but if we did kill Lagertha, we had to go through Bjorn, and I don't want to kill Bjorn. And Vixer laughs at this. And Ube is like, what? Why are you laughing? And Vixer's like, you know what? I don't think you could if you tried. And then Ube had that little, what wasn't really a smile, but kind of like, oh. And then he's like, so how about you try to test me, brother? And here's a funny thing about what I love about like I said before, I love about Vicious' character so far. He's mysterious, whatever. He's quiet, like his father. But when he says things, it always has weight and meaning. And he doesn't say anything, but he smiles at Uba. Like, all right, I'm going to test you. Like, you name the day. You know what I mean? Just a smile told everything. The Bible, he's like, all right, I'll test you. I mean, you just name the day, like I mentioned before. And then we have this interesting with Ivar going over to see Floki and Helga. Helga tells Ivar that, that girl is not a slave. She's her daughter. That her and Floki have adopted her. And Ivar does that epic look, like this look of, what the fuck? And Floki looks at Ivar like, I don't know either, bro. And Ivar is like, well, okay, I'm cool. So Ivar tries to, like, I think hold her hand or something. And she yells in fear and runs away. And Helga looks at Ivar and then she runs away. And I'm like, damn, Helga. Damn, you gonna look at Ivar like he's a monster? Weren't you practically his aunt for like that 8-year span along with Floki being his uncle? Like, what the fuck? So anyways, we have a little banter going on between Ivar and Floki. Floki says, and I know you must want something dragging your crippled ass all the way over here. And then Ivar is like, what makes you think I want to end up old and like a fool like you? And then Floki says that the way you go about doing things, Ivar, you won't get the chance to get old and foolish like me. And they laugh at each other, and you can tell they have a very strong bond. Especially, like I said before, they were Floki and Helga practically Ivar's parents essentially, because I remember Aslog giving young Ivar to Floki for Floki to teach him the ways of the gods and all that shit. So Ivar asks Floki to help him find a way to overcome his disability with his legs. Because Floki's the only one. And Floki said, I'll figure out a way. And we come to find out we have Floki pretty much carrying Ivar the same way, well, piggybacking Ivar the same way Ragnar did. And it's kind of ironic that Ivar was kind of hitting Floki saying, come on, little donkey, the same way he did Ragnar. So I guess I take back the uncle statement. I would say more father, like his father-like figure, And Floki shows Ivar his horse chariot that he made for him. And it was fucking beautiful. And seeing Ivar, finding a way to overcome that with the help of Floki, you see him riding around that chariot, like practicing it. So when the battle, the upcoming battles, which is eventually about to happen. And we notice that Bjorn is there. Bjorn's hiding behind the tree. He was there. He is there. So it makes you wonder, where does Bjorn's true loyalty lies? Especially the next scene in which Torvi was pissed at Bjorn because he was going to England with Ivar to avenge his father. And Torvi's like, well, I think Bjorn's like, listen, he's my brother. All right. Even though she missed the fact that Ivar wants to kill Lagatha. And I believe Torvi said, this matters to me. I don't understand why you feel that way. And that's what that pissed me off about fucking Torvi. It's always, I don't understand this. I don't understand that. It's like, I swear. It seems, and with Bjorn having his outbursts about saying, listen, no one tells me what to do. No one. And especially when I think he hit the fucking plate of food off the thing, had the baby crying, scared the shit out of Torvi or whatever, and he left. And then I believe we see Lagatha on the pier watching more and more ships come to Cadogan. And then we see Bjorn entering the Great Hall, and Astrid's doing something. I forgot what the fuck she was doing. And he asks Astrid, where's my mother? Astrid said she went to Hedeby. And that's all Lagatha told her. And then all we know after this is that Bjorn, at this point, says, can you keep some secrets? And Astrid's like, well, Lagatha always keeps secrets from me. He's like, well, let this be one. And next thing you know, they're making out and shit, having sex. And I was like, what the fuck? Now, I know I said in my previous videos that I thought something was gonna happen between Bien and Astrid, but I did not expect it that this soon and in that way. I was shocked as fuck. That was one hell of an ending, like a shock. I was like, damn, because now this puts everything makes shit complicated. Because you know at some point Lagatha's gonna find out, and how's that gonna put her and Bien's relationship and her and Astrid's relationship? You know, especially since to me it it shows. I mean, especially her interaction with Ube, that Ube looks a lot like Ragnar. So maybe she's gonna end up fucking her. Ube's gonna have some type of sexual relationship, and that's gonna cause conflict with Ube and Margaret. And then in a way, that might cause conflict with Ivar because maybe Ube might catch some feelings for Lagertha, and that's gonna make it harder for Ivar to try to get vengeance on Lagertha. But with the whole, except for but the whole thing with the whole Bjorn and Azure thing, it's like what the fuck? Because like it's like damn now like there's so many like fucking entanglements in this shit in the storyline, and then the whole thing with Bjorn and Torby having issues. Torby's not gonna take that shit. Well, basically, her and Astra are like Lagertha's number 1 and 2 security guard. You know what I mean? And Torby's gonna be pissed about this. And we gotta remember, Torby has Guthrum, and Guthrum in history was Alfred's main rival, the man that Alfred defeated in order to prevent the Vikings from totally conquering all of England. And so you know he's gonna be a big character, and you know he's gonna confront Bjorn or some shit. So now the shit's really rolling as we get towards the season finale of 4B. But thank you guys for liking. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you can, like the video, subscribe to my channel, write some comments down below. I love interacting with you guys. And that's all I got. Adios.